25 years ago, The Sims 1 was released, and the gaming world and also my life was completely changed forever. I didn't think that the Sims team would do that much, considering the hot tub fiasco. I'm extremely shocked and excited to find out that they're actually re-releasing The Sims 1 and The Sims 2. If you care to find me, look to Neighbourhood 1 skies. I actually already had this video planned, and I didn't even know that The Sims 1 and 2 were getting remastered. Oh, my ducks are falling in line. I just wanted to go back and look purely because I'm interested in nostalgia. So today, let's go back to where it all started. I am also planning on doing this type of video for every other Sims game, maybe the spin-offs too. I want to cover everything that's ever happened in the Sims franchise ever. I'm still just working out the logistics on how to do that.
So.
I'm sure you've heard of Infinity Nikki because I feel like everybody is playing it. But in case you need an introduction, have you ever wanted to live like a princess? Have you ever wanted to live in a fairy tale world? Ever wanted to escape the monotony of everyday life and dress like a princess? What if you took that one step further, instead of doing what I'm doing, actually lived in a fairy tale world? And it's not just about the princesses either. The amount of outfits and adventures lets you decide what path you take. Anything is possible in Miraland, and not only will you meet many fantastical characters, it's got the added bonus of taking place in a stunning world. You never have to go far to experience some whimsical encounter, and it has all the cozy activities like fishing, taking care of your animals, and every challenge leads you to unlocking new clothes, which in turn unlock new ways for you to engage with the world around you and even give you some help in future challenges. The new update Carnival of Fireworks is now open for you to enjoy. Fireworks season is a time-limited event where you can ride the whirler pony, visit the fireworks carriage, or if you're up for a bit of mystery, head on over to the fireworks sprites. If you want for customization, you can get limited edition outfits as well. Completing the event even gives you a new ability outfit, the Fiery Glow, which in very much fit into the theme, will let you set off your own fireworks. If you join in on the festivities, you can get over 20 free pulls, over 3,500 diamonds, 2 free event outfits, and 3 more free outfits from the Heartfelt Gift Store. And don't think it ends there. Infinity Nikki are committed to the game, and there will be future optimizations and events for you to enjoy. You can download Infinity Nikki today through my link in the description or by using the pinned comment. And you can use the code shown on the screen to get your hands on resources in game. Thank you to Infinity Nikki for sponsoring this section of the video. And I would personally love to hear what you get up to. In the first part, I'm going to be going through the history, the development and release of The Sims. But then from that, I'm going to be talking about the entire Sims 1. So if you want to skip the history, I won't judge you too much, but I will provide a timestamp on the screen right now so you can skip over to the actual Sims content. This is just if you want the history. So as for the development of it, I feel like it's pretty well known that Will Wright was inspired to make The Sims after its home burned down in a fire because he found that he didn't actually miss much of his possessions. The idea of him rebuilding his life is what inspired him to make The Sims. I started to wonder about all the things we have and how we purchase them for a reason. Why do we think something will make me happier? He'd already had the success of SimCity as well. It feels weird to be comparing it to this because SimCity came first, but SimCity is basically the macro version of The Sims. The Sims is the micro version of SimCity. SimCity is the macro version of The Sims. In The Sims, you control people. In The SimCity, you control towns. And it was a huge success. Would people even be interested in mundane aspects of everyday living? At the time, simulation gaming or cozy gaming or even girl gaming was nowhere near as popular as it is now. There's a reason they decided to title it The Sims and not Dollhouse, which is one of its working titles. Will Wright himself even said that he believed it would either completely blow up like it did or absolutely flop. There'd be no in between. One thing that shocked me was that Will Wright had to work on this in secret. He had a secret studio about half an hour away from Max's headquarters, and he had secret people working on this secret game because he believed in it, but they struggled so much to get people on board with the idea of the game. The first prototype was created by Will himself in around 93. But from this and the people working in the separate studio, The Sims, also known as Project X, also known as TDS, the Tactical Domestic Simulator, also known as TDS, the Total Dollhouse System, also known as What the Hell Is It? And that to me is baby Jesus. That's my Lord and Savior right there. But even so, even after this, not everybody was convinced. And I didn't expect this, but it actually came from Maxis. They called it the toilet game because the first object that was created for The Sims was a toilet. Will Wright found it interesting because you could clean a toilet, you could use a toilet, you could block a toilet, you could unblock a toilet. Tim Letourneau, who was a producer on The Sims 1, as well as many other titles, you might recognize his name, actually said, "Who wants to tell people to go to the bathroom?" I think the same thing about children, but people are still having them left, right and center, so I don't know. Maybe there is some interest in it. EA then acquired Maxis in 1998, and surprisingly, EA were all behind The Sims. They were like, yes, It was Maxis who couldn't quite grasp the vision. There is a quote about The Sims, and I think it's so fitting that no matter what version of the game you play, it's about the heart, pain, and love and friendship in the four walls. So that's the development of it. A brief summary, but let's go through what it looked like. The first characters in The Sims, because we have them, is Edith, Archie, Samantha, and Darren. Together, they make up the Bunker family, and also the Gasparinis, and also the Williams, and also the Blues, and also the Kips, and also the Davises. The Jeans will always win first place, okay? Because they are the only Jeans competing. They're the only runner in the race. And the characters seem quite comical at this point, and a big change to who they actually end up being. They end up being a bit more realistic, where this seems a bit more cartoony. But I do think that they managed to get a perfect balance between realism and out there. One of the reasons I love The Sims so much is because on the surface, it looks so serious. Like, yes, this is goth man, and like he's dressed in the suit and everything, but like, oh my, he's got dead bodies in his back garden. And a Sim that looks completely normal is also actually a wizard who likes scuba diving, and his house is haunted by a crying clown. So everything on the surface looks really normal, but you just gotta dig a little deeper. As Shrek said, onions have layers. But then we move on in the development and everything starts looking more proper. The focus on the parallels of real life in the early prototypes. And you have like glaring object advertisements that take up part of the screen. And obviously this is supposed to be a reference to how much we're advertised to in everyday life. But I also think it's funny because without knowing it, it's also a future reference to how the Sims 3 store works. So it looks like a primary school game. I feel like I played this game in primary school. And I did also play The Sims 1 in primary school, but I feel like this is a different type of game. It's not my favourite. I like how it's different. Some thoughts definitely went in there, but it's not my favourite. But I still like what they came up with. It's like a town hall or a library, but it's not very straightforward. In this screenshot, it looks more like what we're used to, but the emotions are different too, which I zoomed in. One thing about me, if you send me a picture, I will zoom in on the details. You've got all the regular ones, but you've also got the addition of stress and alertness as emotions, and even an overall happiness banner at the bottom, which my Sims would absolutely fail at. So I'm glad that they didn't include that. But interestingly, this overall type of bar is kind of what they implemented with Hot Date when they done the 2-bar relationships. That's fun to see things that actually was implemented later in the game. And look at Happy Acres. It actually makes me emotional to see it. As we all know, The Sims is a really open-ended game and it's completely up to you. But in this prototype, they focused on scenarios, which The Sims 4 actually made a reference to. And I only learned that it was a previous thing as I was researching this. Scenarios already exist in The Sims, but the scenarios in The Sims 1 kind of work as a tutorial. We've got level 1, the accident. Ross is handsome, sporty, but since his accident, not so bright. Amnesia has made the simplest tasks a chore. Help him remember how to cook, clean, bathe by directing him toward the objects that will satisfy each of his needs. Once you get all his motives in the green, he'll be well on his way to a productive life. Good luck. That is so AO3 coded. Level 2, girls just want to have fun. Demental human rights. Let's make sure that we keep on reproductive rights, thank you. Samantha and Mercedes have little to do and a dwindling household account. Mercedes is waiting for an inheritance, but until it comes, it won't be soon. Her earning potential is nil. Samantha is an artist and has just found a gallery that will carry her paintings. She's only productive when her mood is good. Oh, so real. Literally me too. Keep her happy and productive and you'll make enough money to score a new toy. Something electronic like a stereo or two ought to do the trick. Level 3, the kiss. Ross, this guy, has had a dramatic recovery. Nice to see it. And is getting around by himself quite well now. As if that wasn't enough, he just scored a spot in a house with 2 women. Oh, who could these 2 women possibly be? Samantha is calm, quiet and focused on a thriving artistic career. She's cool and shares a lot of interest with Ross, but maybe slightly standoffish. I'm adding the plot pieces together. Mercedes is hot, but somewhat ditzy. Help him choose who to pursue. When you get a kiss, you'll know he's on his way to some fine loving. Yeah, good luck with that. Ross, I don't think you're fully healed. I think you should get that head trauma rechecked because those 2 are obviously riding pink ponies all the way to Manhattan. If you catch my drift, if you were picking up what I'm putting down. Mercedes and Samantha, they're booked and busy. Mercedes and Samantha, the first canonical lesbian couple in The Sims. I actually don't think that that's true. I don't think that's the canonical phenomenon. Level 4. Okay, architect. 3 rich kids just showed up with a good chunk of cash and an empty lot for a dream house. You have total creative freedom. So go wild. Make a terrace mansion on a hilly lot. Try a humble level on a woodsy lot. Build the worst house imaginable. That sounds like my type of video. And watch them go slowly nuts. While you're at it, try planning for a maximum efficiency. You know you can't resist picking the quickest course in traffic. Now take it to the next level of anal. Excuse me. You'll need to use architecture to build the house. Remember to save enough money for furnishings. So, as we can kind of tell through these characters and the situations that they're in, it's a tutorial. You need to, number one, know how to look after your Sims. Number two, you need to be able to have a job and also make sure that you're having fun at the same time. Otherwise, you're not going to have fun. Number three, a little bit of living. Number four, you need to know how to build a house. All those 4 levels and you've officially completed The Sims. Well done. And then the UI is nearly 100% what we actually got. The idea of the brain is really fun, but I don't know if this is just me because I'm so used to The Sims 1. The initials aren't really clear, so would I know what I was pressing if I wasn't used to the actual menu? I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to it. I'm glad they went with icons instead though. And then it was official. On the SimCity 3000, it included a trailer for The Sims. And the art style looks very similar to the intro in The Sims, but the gameplay did not look like this trailer. It's fun, and it won't be the first game to advertise with content that is not actually in the game. But yeah. And then in April 99, the SimCity website was hacked. And this is one of my favourite pieces of marketing that the Sims team have ever done. Who did it get hacked by? Those pesky Sims. We're the people who live in your SimCities. We've been there ever since Mr. Will Wright created the first SimCity a decade ago. We're the ones who build the buildings, go to work in the factories, and of course pay the taxes. They are trade unioning up. The winter of discontent is canon in the Sims franchise. They also sent out a press disc with renders of the game. Bella Goth, the woman that you are, literally from the get-go, she was like, is this fucking game about me? It was unveiled at E3 in June 99, and then on the 15th of July 99, they solidified the logo. It had a couple of changes, and then we got the one that we're used to today. And then the rest is history. It released. So let's get on into the lore. Welcome to the first ever world that shipped with The Sims 1. Neighbourhood 1. It's not the most inventive name, but do you know what? It's a neighbourhood and it's the first one, so I'm willing to wait for it. It's the next neighbourhood, spoiler alert, doesn't get more creative than this either. The next neighbourhood is Neighbourhood 2, but it is technically SimCity. So we do have the name of the place that it is. It's SimCity, but this place is just Neighbourhood 1, run of the mill. And I'm going to start off with 7 Sim Lane, which is this one right here. And I'm starting off with this one because the game actually starts you off with this one. If you've ever played The Sims 1, you will know the tutorial, and the tutorial introduces you to Bob and Betty Newbie. The Newbie family will never know peace, and they hate to see our curses coming. They're both new to the neighbourhood. They live in an incredibly iconic house. I'm sure that you've seen this starter home before. And if you haven't played The Sims 1 and you've only played The Sims 4, if you've played The Sims 4 Eco Lifestyle, you will definitely recognise it because this has the table, the chair, and the TV set. They're both not employed, which I would argue against because they are employed in the tutorial department, booked and busy working overtime, but they're also not in love. They are that Crystal Castle song featuring Robert Smith. Oh, Trouble in Paradise. They are kind of middle-aged at this point, so even though at first glance it looks like they might not have a kid, I think that Brandy Broke, who is at this point, Brandy Broke, nee Newbie, is already aged up and out of the house, and this is their retirement home, is my theory. Bob Newbie is actually a bit of a celebrity in the Sims world because he not only features in The Sims 1, he also features in SimCity and randomly Sim Golf. For some reason, Sim Golf just keeps coming into mine and Steph's consciousness. We just keep coming across Sim Golf, and I've never even played it. Betty Simovich, we do learn more about her and her backstory in future games, but that is the first family that we're introduced to, the Newbie. Aptly named, actually. I've never really thought about it. The newbies, like you're new to this game, like hello. Now we'll move over the road onto 5 Sim Lane. All of these roads are named. Every lot on this road will have the Sim road name, which I really like because you can start piecing things together. Anyway, moving over 5 Sim Lane, we've got the Goth family. Mortimer, which you'll probably recognise anybody in the Goth family. He is not a silver fox in this one. He's got an old country upbringing, and we do find out more about this in The Sims 1, so we will be talking about this in depth in future, Mortimer, my love. But he apparently has an unusual fondness for insects. Okay, I mean, I always say get a hobby. I guess he's got one. Why is it an unusual fondness for it, though? What makes it weird? What are you doing to those insects? Because if it's just like a ant farm, I could kind of get behind that. I would like to see how ants make houses. I would like to see them delve. I do enjoy to see an ant carrying a piece of food, but why have you got to make it unusual? I mean, to be fair, it is the Goths. He's also a level 1 in the science career, so he's just starting out as a test subject. In the translator notes, his bio is supposed to allude to him being a vampire, which I am not opposed to that. If there's anything about me, Twilight just had me in a grip for about 5 years of my teenage life, which is probably the most fundamental time that you develop a personality, really. So I'm all behind Mortimer being a vampire. However, I just kind of don't see it. I think he's gothic, but actually, you know what? No, that man, he's thirsty for blood. And then Bella, the woman that you are, she is supposedly mad for golf, which I can neither confirm nor deny because I've never asked her. I don't know if she should be putting hashtag ad, hashtag gifted, hashtag sponsored on that, because also, as we've seen with Bob, the Sims and Sim Golf is kind of one and the same, so I don't know if that's just trying to push the Sim Golf. She doesn't look like a golfer to me, but I don't know my way around a golf club either, so who's to know, you know what I mean? She could be, for all I know. She's elegant and athletic, unemployed. She's too busy carrying the entire Sims franchise on her back, okay? She's too busy being the plot of like 50% of my videos. One of my favourite comments I've ever had is just, Jessie, let the woman rest. Mortimer and Bella literally have the perfect relationship, and I'm not saying like they're so good to each other and blah, 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 but it's perfect in terms of like they're at 100% for both of them, which is lovely to see. Something is in the SimCity water supply, and it makes the Goths have an absolutely loving relationship because it's not the only instance that we'll see of this. And then for Cassandra, she's the quiet, mysterious type, which is a friendly way to say absolute nerd. She was my fashion icon as a child. Those glasses, those buns, absolutely love it. She's a B in school and has an average relationship with both of her parents. And it's quite funny, actually, because she's got an average relationship with the parents, but Mortimer and Bella like Cassandra a lot more than she likes them. She's neat and shy like her mother, but playful and nice like Mortimer. So she's a nice mix of both. It's a shame she doesn't like him. And the house itself, an iconic house. Absolutely beautiful. I think this was actually the scene of when the Sims developers went back to play The Sims 1 and everything just set on fire within the first 5 minutes and the game ended. So, you know what? That will go down in the history books for iconic houses. But it's actually quite small in terms of Goth standards, especially when you see the Goth household in The Sims 3. That's a giant mansion. What happened? But yeah, it's quite small. They are just getting started in life. He's only level 1 in his career. But Mortimer is literally a Nepo baby. And like I said, his childhood home was a huge Victorian mansion. So what happened there? As we all know, the Goth family, they're kind of meant to be like the Addams family. And it kind of makes sense with all of the graves because the Addams family is supernatural, multi-generational. That's kind of what we've got going on here, especially with this alluding to him being a vampire. But they do have graves in their garden, which is where it kind of all starts. At this point, The Sims 1 isn't quite at the level of a hot tub, vibrating bed, dancers coming out with cakes, and also a flamingo that turns into a dancer. It's not quite at that level yet. So these graves are kind of the first instance that we get to see of that bit of personality. It's like, you know, when you meet the shy girl and she's like, oh, and then you get to know her a little bit more and she really comes out of her shell. That's The Sims. In the graveyard, we have Grandpa, who is supposed to be related to Mortimer, Grandma, who is supposed to be related to Bella. It is rumoured that they are potentially in a romance, the Grandma and Grandpa, which would that be weird? Because they are not related, but would that make Bella and Mortimer related? It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Grandpa gets with Marge's mum and everybody's a little bit uncomfortable by it. Anyway, already did it in The Simpsons. Next plot. Bella's uncle, we've got a random auntie, and we've got a cousin from the Goth family, but from the Crumplebottom side. And then randomly we've got Vegas, which is absolutely no connection to the family. But you know what? Hell yeah. Maybe he died because he was in debt via gambling. You know what they say, when the fun stops, grab a shovel and dig 6 inches, maybe more. 6 inches was the wrong term. 6 feet in the Goth family graveyard. Or 6 inches. And then we've got Bratty and Boy. And they suspiciously look like Cassandra Goth and Alexandra Goth, which has led to lots of theories developing around these two. Fetus_potato has submitted what I think is the most plausible theory, that it's actually Cassandra's twin who they killed for being a little brat. And then this ties into the whole Sims 2 thing, because their theory is that Bella, obviously because she's an icon and she's got like the perfect moral outlook on life, like she's 100%, everything she does is right. Bella was going to come clean about this to the police because they killed their child. So Mortimer was like, He'd heard about abductions because abductions do actually come in The Sims 1. And then he got her abducted and memory wiped her to keep her quiet. I wouldn't put it past him. I switched from being a Mortimer stan to being a Mortimer hater. I just don't know. I would like to know, but I just don't know. As we know, the Goth family returns in every single version of The Sims. They've even got multiple generations in The Sims 1, which we'll find out in Unleashed. And the difference in the Goth family in Unleashed versus the Goth family now kind of gives credence to my theory that he was the one who set fire to his parents' house, which ultimately killed his parents, and that is how he got inheritance. And then Bella, that could also be why Bella was like, I'm literally going to tell, I can't stand by this. And then Mortimer was like, well, do you know what? And then that was that. We also do have this house here, and this house here. But they are not that incredible. I really want to talk about 2 Sim Lane. 50,777 simoleons and worth every single simoleon. They sold the American dream with this house. It had every single child enraptured by the not-so-subtle allure of capitalism. She will go on my Hall of Fame board. You mean I can have a pool with a plant in the middle of it? And I can even take the ladder away? Sign me up. This was the plot. Who was more iconic in The Sims 1? Bella Goth or 2 Sim Lane? And then we also have the family bin. If you click this button right here, it will take you and see families that exist perfectly. There's even a house for each of them. Love that. First up, we've got the Pleasant family, which you will recognise if you play The Sims 2. Jeff, for some reason, wants to be the first man on Mars, which I don't know why I'm giving this man the time of day with an outlook like that. I think that's actually already been achieved. I stand corrected. We put a man on the moon. It's none of my business if a man's been on Mars, especially not Jeff. So, you know what? That's still a goal that he can aim for. I won't necessarily support it, but I will cheer him on quietly in the background. And he is in the military career, so it is a feasible goal. But I think that he should put some of that effort and spirit into Diane and be the first man in The Sims 1 to love his wife, apart from Mortimer. Then we've got Diane, Daniel, and Jennifer. I just realised these all have the same but opposite initials. We've got Diane and Daniel, Jeff and Jennifer. I wonder if it's supposed to show that Jennifer is a soccer star. She's quite athletic like her dad. And then Daniel is not interested in sports at all, relate to his mum Diane more. Potentially. I wonder if his mum's a cheater, just like Daniel will be. And then we've got the roomies. Let's go lesbians. This is literally the origin of, and they were roommates, and I will die on that hill. We've got Chris and Melissa. They've recently moved to the neighbourhood. And don't be too happy for the gay gender just yet, because they do not return to the franchise. If it was my choice, they would return. I just also want to point out that these aren't canonically lesbians, but I also want to point out that this game was released in 2002, and Tattoo hadn't yet released a song, All the Things She Said, so the lesbianisation of The Sims probably wasn't running through their heads, you know? But I'm going to retcon lesbians. Finally, we have Michael Batchelor, who, if you are into Sims 2 lore, you will know who this is. His death spurred the abduction of Bella Goth. I have no proof for that, but Dina and/or Nina went a little bit... Was she already off the rails? I don't know. But he is Bella's brother. These two are related. You might feel sorry for him because he's all alone in the family bin and his sister literally has a house that he could move into. But don't feel too bad for him. If he had to move into that house, babe, it would be 6 feet under in the garden. In Sim Nation, I'm not sure if it's some sort of law that once you start showing some type of dominant behaviour or there's some dominant aspect about you, that you and your whole family have to name themselves accordingly. So he's a bachelor, so he becomes a bachelor family. They were Simoviches potentially before they moved here, and then they became the new guys. So then they're like, yep, well, we might as well be the newbies. These weren't even goths. He just put a black outfit on one day and then Sim Nation changed it. Another example, Never's subject was previously called Nyan Spectre, as we found out in The Sims 4 Life and Death. And I want to know, at what point in the kidnapping did he go, probably should get in contact with HMRC now. But in The Sims 1, he's just finished his degree. Since you got your degree. But he doesn't actually know everything. He doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. And honey, you've got a big storm coming. It's in his best interest if he stays in the family bin. But you'll have to wait for The Sims 2 lore explained for that one, which you can actually watch an early version of that on The Sims 25th anniversary. And there's also other Simmers as well. Trixie and Katja are taking part in it. Anyway, the NPCs that got released in this. We've got Bridget the maid, Gloria the gardener, Repairman Bruno, Freddie the pizza delivery guy, bit of a long-winded one, Firefighter Freddie, Michelle the policewoman, Nancy the paper girl, and Carrie the mail carrier. Again, she carries things and HMRC are like, you've got to change that, babe. Keep on top of it. So now she's Carrie. As I was reading the development of the games, they wanted to make the next few because apparently kids love failure. Absolutely. Absolutely I did as a kid. I don't think I would have enjoyed this game as much if I only had the NPCs that benefited my life. I would also need every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We've got Bud the Repo Man, which is ironic because if we were buds, he would not be taking my stuff. Sylvia the social worker, who I have tried to lock in a room so she wouldn't take my child. Doesn't work. And then again with the whole name changing thing, odd name to call your kid, we've got the local burglar, some sneaky sim. Because The Sims is so open-ended as well and you can literally do anything, it's quite easy to burn out on it if there's no repercussions. So the inclusion of these NPCs and the actual consequences that you've got is good because there's no point feeding your kids if the social worker isn't going to take them off you. There's no satisfaction in the neglect. The social worker in game actually makes you feel like you've worked for something when you get your kids taken away, and I think that's beautiful. And then in August 2000, Maxis released its first ever Sims expansion pack. This was way before the time of kits or game packs, or even honestly the idea of expansion packs that we have now, with multiple subplots and overarching theme. There was literally no precedent for them to follow. And Livin Large really set the scene. Like I said earlier, The Sims has always been a bit weird with the goth family in the base game. But Livin Large really said, I'm going to create something so unhinged, so untethered to actual lived reality, and it's going to set the scene for the next 25 years, and Plumbella will think about me on the daily. And I 100% do. They are 100% right in thinking that. Previously in The Sims 1, it was all about focusing on living that 9-to-5 lifestyle, the difficulties of forming relationships and keeping people alive. But now, we've got something a little bit wild and wacky. One quote as I was looking into this from Computer Gaming World, issue 192. Fortunately, Maxis isn't looking to milk this cash cow. Princess, we are on to The Sims 4. Anyway, welcome to Neighbourhood 2. Like I said, with Neighbourhood 1, the names aren't really that creative. And with the new world, we also have new jobs. Hacker, musician, paranormal, journalism, and slacker, which is fun. I love the paranormal one personally. We only have one family that live in this world, and it is Frankie and Sylvia Marie Meshuggah. Apparently, Marie is a really common middle name in America. I think the UK version of that would probably be Louise. Louise is our Marie. And as for Meshuggah in Yiddish, it means crazy or senseless. And I would like to dispute that because I actually think the Meshuggahs have all 7 senses working in absolute perfect order, because look at the house that they live in. Clearly they can see, and they've got good style. Frankie is in the extreme career as a bungee jump instructor, which I can see perfectly, and I would let him throw me off the side of a cliff, to be honest. If he said jump, I would just trust that. And Sylvia is a psychic phone friend in the paranormal career. And these two are honestly the exact type of people that you would think that they are. They are in love. They have a great sense of fashion. Sylvia looks absolutely fantastic in a tracksuit, and they're both really well suited in their personalities as well. Sylvia is a bit shy than Frankie, but they're both kind of messy but nice people. It's a good selection, much like 2 Sim Lane. The house that they live in is extremely extravagant and also the staple of my childhood. When I talk about The Sims 4, I think of extremely customizable build of all types, tiny homes, giant mansions. When I think of The Sims 3, I think of a craftsman-style home or ultra-modern homes. The Sims 2, I think of extreme suburbia or Spanish-style homes. But when I think of The Sims 1, I don't really think of it for great architectural feats. I think of it in bravery, in pairing such colours together, in really questioning what shape should a house be. What shape could a house be? I think of the courage of Frankie and Sylvia Marie Meshuggah for painting their house bright pink, in contrast to the literal castle that is over the road. There is a modern house across from them, and even though I've got no evidence to support this theory, I do think that that might have been their first house. And like, do you know what? It's just not freaky enough for us. Is any contractor going to match our freak? And it certainly tried to. It's got unbelievably loud tiles, crescent-shaped windows. It even comes with its own unreachable plant in the back garden, which your Sims cannot tend to, even though they do try, because it is in the middle of a swimming pool. It's ironic that a plant can be surrounded by so much water and yet fail to thrive. You can lead a plant to water, but you cannot make it drink. Also, I did kind of just blitz through the castle, but yes, there is a castle. For the small amount of 117,675 simoleons, you can have a medieval fortress. If you ever wanted to forego the experience of plumbing, ever fancied to go off the stocks? Well, this is the perfect place to decapitate a family, and it's even got room for your army to grow. But what about if you wanted to add some flair to your house? What would an average day of your Sim's life look like with the Sims living large? Well, let's examine. The Grim Reaper, my man, that's my man, and I'm gonna stick beside him. I'm no better than Olive Spectre. The Grim Reaper isn't used in this pack, and He's a bit of a friendly guy considering he comes to reap souls and everything, but we've all got to work. We've all got to work. And he is willing to barter for your Sim's life, but I call him friendly because number one, he does a very serious game of rock, paper, scissors to barter for your loved one's life. But even if you lose, sometimes he can still show mercy. He is still the Grim Reaper. He is still death. Is it really considered mercy because your Sim does come back as a zombie with no personality? I'm sure we've all dated someone like that before. Santa is also randomly shipped with this pack. You can bake some cookies. If you have a tree, he might turn up. If there was a pack if Peter Piper picked a pecker, Livin Large would be the pecker that Peter Piper pecked. And previously, if you wanted to woohoo, you couldn't. If you wanted to have a baby, you would have to make your Sims kiss repeatedly and constantly hear that sound, and your parents would just know that you were up to something. And then you'd get a pop-up saying, do you want to have a baby? Or you'd have to wait to get a phone call. Hey girl, I know you aren't vetted or anything. This violates so many health and safety guidelines for orphans, but at the risk of sounding like child neglect, do you want to adopt? And like, do you want it now? Because I can totally drop it off. That is how you got a kid in The Sims 1. And all of that can still happen. There is no great strides for health and safety in this game. But now your Sims can canonically get off, which is amazing. They 100% have a Love Honey sponsorship, which this video does not, just to clarify. Livin Large introduced, I would say, apart from Bella Goth, the most iconic thing to come out of the Sims franchise. It's something that almost everybody will recognize this if they've ever played The Sims and you show them this picture. The Love Heartbed, Epcot. It's officially titled the Vibromatic Heartbed, and it changed the trajectory of the franchise because gone were the days of simply waking up and going to work. This opened up a whole other world, a world of woohoo. Although woohoo didn't technically exist yet. Obviously, the act of it now did with this bed, but it was originally called Plain Bed. And do you know what you'll be playing with, babe? The chances of pregnancy. Because this bed carries a 1 in 8 chance of creating a baby. It's also created, speaking of created, it's created by Sadie S. Factor, which I feel like is a reference to something, but I'm just not quite getting it. It's not computing. The vibration engine is Swedish, of course, but we have done a lot of testing with a pair of 300-pound dummies to strengthen the springs, reinforce the stitching, and ensure smooth motion to the ocean. You keep that to yourself, thank you. And then we've also got things like the genie lamp. You can also create gnomes in this one, but they explode if you're not good in it. A crystal ball. You might be living large. I mean, you might be thinking that your little rendezvous in bed could keep you happy forever, but no. Life is nasty, brutish, and short. It is not sunshine and roses. Your Sims are under threat, and you need to consider this seriously. One of the most deadly diseases that has ever plagued Sim Nation. Guinea pig disease. In many timelines, in many places, rodents are a constant cause of death. Art imitates life. And I do think it's reasonable to deduct from this the hypothesis that the plague, bubonic of course, was that rampant it made its way to Sim City. So, the Sims had their own version of the plague, the guinea pig disease. And here, the plague is a lot less serious because we have antibiotics. Always finish your packet. But in the Sims world, where things work extremely differently because it's not a real place and made up, how do you think you can cure guinea pig disease? Do you think it's A, going to the hospital and getting appropriate medical care, B, putting up a painting of a sad guinea pig, or C, getting a nice hot bath and maybe even a cuppa? Well, if you guessed number 2, where's my picture? If you guessed number 2, putting a picture of a sad guinea pig on the wall, you are correct. Although the sadness in this guinea pig's eyes may cause another form of illness, that of the mental variety, because I do feel exceptionally sad looking into its eyes, it does us the favour, it does us the joy, the honour of even coming with a poem. When the house is warm and the food is hot, the guinea pig cries, forget me not. Alas, some Sims may clean their own, only to forget a guinea pig's home. Hungry and cold, a pig feels no love, thus breeds contempt for masters above. Expecting to play after many a night, who is surprised by the guinea pig bite? Uncleaned, unloved, a pig's life meant naught. Like a child's plaything, it is simply forgot. But warnings to all who turn a deaf ear, that the curse of the guinea always bring fear. So true, literally so true. I don't know how it works by putting up I don't know if the picture releases pheromones or something into the, I don't even know if pheromones is the right word. Just getting ready for a hot date coming soon, you know, I'm just in the mood for dancing, romance. Anyway, this is not the only sad poster. I don't know who on the Sims team needed some kind of a shoulder to cry on or something, because the tragic clown also comes in this one and his painting can also be put on display. And this makes the guinea pig looks like it's euphoric, jumping for joy. The tragic clown is larger than life, shall we say, and we actually have Will Wright to thank for many things, but also for the tragic clown. I also have to thank him for my career as well, so thank you, Will. And also thank you for providing us with this depressed and downtrodden personification of a rain cloud. He isn't just a picture. He comes out with a picture. He is a living clown. And he also does perform some tricks, but watching it must be classed as some form of torture because nothing in this man's life works out. He can try and make a balloon animal, but the balloon pops. He can juggle, but he hits himself on the head. That he does the dove in handkerchief, but spoiler alert, the bird dies. And after these performances, it's not difficult to understand why he spends so long looking at his own painting and crying. He works full time because when he's not doing that, he's following your Sims round the clock, constantly waking them up. And to get rid of him, you've either got to burn the painting, which is a risky business because it could also kill everybody in your house as well, or you can bring everyone in your house up to a good mood, which is really difficult because being around this guy puts you into a wobbler, or call in the clown catchers. He's that much of a nuisance. He has literally got an entire government department dedicated to catching him. This is probably because in his description it states that he was in a catalogue available to buy, so that he's probably mass produced and there's lots of him. So I'm not surprised. He's also maybe possibly dead and haunting the world of SimCity with his sadness. There's the tragic clowner Classon urn. I'm sorry if I've butchered that. This was actually a recent discovery for me. I had no idea that this existed in game, but this is an urn painted in the colours of the tragic clown. So he might be dead. I wonder who raped him. 3 guesses. Somebody raped him. You gotta guess which. I think it's important to know objects in this pack as well. Egg chair, often seen in men's magazines and espionage film 25 years ago. I'm pretty sure the iconic egg chair is part of the 25th birthday celebrations as well. The world of art is a bizarre one, and it's also a bizarre one in the Sims franchise, and Livin Large really adds to that lore. Trigger warning for suicide, also maybe alcoholism, but also just a general trigger warning because a lot of the stuff is not sensitive in terms of different cultures. A lot of it, I would hope, not be written in descriptions now, but I just want to put that as a warning in case you also want to go and read every description in the game. I'm going to start in a chronological order for art. So banking exists. It is known to be a thing. Who brought it to the international sphere? The Sacred Sisters. This is captured in the Eruption of Decadence tapestry, and it is important to know that this tapestry was also used to justify the excommunication and then subsequent beheading of the Sacred Sisters. So, they started it, but they were also ended. And then remember that the plague was a canonical thing that the guinea pigs may or may not be 100% undeniably at fault for. If they are starting a plague, and then people are like, you know what, I don't really want to go near a guinea pig, there's a plague, and the guinea pig's like, well, I'm going to up the plague. Do you know what I mean? What came first, the chicken or the egg? The plague did have an impact on the culture of Sim Nation. People died and industry suffered. One industry in particular being the tapestry industry. The Black Tree Tapestry tells us that many weavers and dyers lost their lives to the Black Plague. Guinea pigs have a lot to answer for. I don't know whether you're looking sad or sheepish. Judith Painter, in case you didn't catch that. A legal law, apparently, in Sim Nation that your name has to reflect you. She was a painter in the late 17th century, and she has a self-portrait in the game. She was both praised and loathed by contemporary critical opinion. Why? Because she was a woman exercising a creative ability thought to be exclusively male. Because of this, she was found dangerous. How dare they even have the nerve to suggest such a thing? I'm so sick of men thinking women are dangerous just because they paint. Judith Painter is completely different, and she is not dangerous because she paints. She's dangerous because she threw 2 of the critics off a castle tower and then decided to jump herself. Like, if you're going to be fearful of her, at least be accurate about it. She followed through, and she did no way around a paintbrush. And then we get into more modern times with Connor Tist, an accidental artist at the forefront of accidental painting, when he was drunk and kicked cans on paint against a canvas. It's interesting that they actually use the word drunk here, because in later games it's like, I'm juiced, let's have some nectar. And in this, like, he was mortal and he kicked a can and he made some art. I don't think he's too popular in SimCity because he has a lot of critics. And to this he says, critics hate my work because they see themselves a collection of ugly stains on the earth. That is self-confidence. Obviously, we have lots of art movements in our world, and the Sims world is no different to that. Hallucinart, coined by Art Wag magazine, was a movement founded by N.I. Strain, an example of which can be seen with his piece Empty Circles again. No wonder his name alludes to I Strain. Despite the popularity, this movement fell out of favour, replaced with the no progress theory, and Strain committed suicide. Guys, this is a kid's game. Like, this was always thought to be like, oh yeah, little kids who play dolls. And it's like, this artist was so devastated by his own flop, he killed himself. And I really wish you could see the impact of your work. And that is Livin Large. A great introduction to the Sims franchise. Up there with one of my favourites. In March of 2000, The Sims actually gave us the opposite of a lockdown. They said, have people round, throw a party, invite everybody. Tim, who we did mention in the development part of the video, when he was talking about House Party, he said House Party is really about parties and socialising, and the objects are intended to create new gameplay around group dynamics. The campfire, for example, allows for the first time up to 8 Sims to interact in a single activity. Interestingly, House Party wasn't met with as great of a reception as Livin Large. And looking back, I do think that's fair, especially since now we're used to parties just being included in the base game. I cannot find it within myself, physically or emotionally, to critique a pack that gave us iconic things such as the cake dancers. I'm just not willing to do that. It brought iconic themes like Hawaiian, techno rave. It brought us the costume trunk, the bowl, the robot cleaner. We've also got party crashers, Pete and Paulette, caterers, townies. This was the first introduction of townies in the Sims franchise. And always one for the supernatural, House Party introduced a new life state. That of a ghost. In one specific instance, it has to be around a campfire. Obviously, the theme of it is to throw a party. And sometimes when you throw a party, a mime might show up. And babe, if this mime shows up, you need to work on your social skills, okay, honey? It's called a skill because you can build on it. You can do it. He only turns up if your party is a complete failure. And with great failure comes great repercussions in the form of simoleons, because he also steals your stuff. Not everything, but he's known to steal food off your table. Which, actually, you know what? In his defense, I'm not even going to class that as stealing, because you should be paying your staff. But then in your defense, is he even staff if he turned up unannounced? The mime isn't the only sim to turn up unannounced either. You will get party crashers, which is par for the course of most parties after a certain amount of time. And if you throw an absolute rager, you will get none other. I'm putting him in the middle because he's so special. The host of Whose Line Is It Anyway, Drew Carey, who, funnily enough, despite whatever my Sims and Celebrity Partnerships video claimed, did not start in A Christmas Miracle, but he will show up. He did start in your house party as a favour to you. We also have iconic things like the inflatable chair, the inflatable sofa, which are coming back for the 25th anniversary, and something that's not coming back for the 25th anniversary, but is always living in my brain, rent-free. I would charge it nothing. I would pay money for it. In fact, you will have to do that because it's in build buy mode. The Bounce My Booty dance floor. He's bouncing off my booty cheeks and I just love the way he rides. And that is the Sims House Party. I can understand why it wasn't met with as great of a reception. No new world, but lots of iconic characters. This is the world that you currently live in The Sims. As you can see, you can make a family, you can evict a family, you can leave the game, and you can do this secret fourth thing that I'm not really sure to this day what it means. Something about a pump. I wish I could do that. I'm bloated. So all you can do basically at this point in the game, you can have house parties, you can live it up, or you can go to work. And the Sims team were like, can we make them visit each other's houses? And turns out that actually they needed to come to a compromise. So, dun 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 dun, done. Downtown was the compromise to that. It was the compromise to visit in someone else's house. Apparently they couldn't mess with it because each house was considered a save game. So it would corrupt a save game if you went to another house. It kind of changed in later games. In The Sims 3, you can select active household and it's kind of one big save. Now your Sims, from the comfort of their own home, can call a yellow taxi to take them to downtown, which is part of SimCity, as Neighbourhood 1 and Neighbourhood 2 are, an overarching part of SimCity. Neighbourhood 1, Neighbourhood 2 are suburbs. This is, I'm guessing, the town centre. Downtown. Those are all the lyrics I know. So this came with the pack Hot Date. And as you can probably tell, the theme of it is kind of like a hot date. If you've played The Sims 4 Love Struck and The Sims 2 Nightlife, this is their parent. Fun fact. I had this pack when I was a kid. Didn't have all the packs growing up, but I had this pack. Stipulation to that, I didn't have it in English. I had it in Chinese. So I didn't know it was called Hot Date. I didn't know what it was called. I just knew that the design of it was red. That's all I knew. Anyway, the theme of it is hot date, but it's also not just for a hot date. The entire theme of it is you can get out of the house. You can go places. You can spend money, the money that you've earned in this 9-to-5 job. You can buy things for yourself or for your lover. You can buy them sweeties. They might even like a teddy bear. You can even buy them some jewelry. Or you can really heat things up. And even though like this game was considered a kid's game, buy some lingerie, perchance. And then if everything goes wrong, you can just grab a drink and down your troubles at a bar. The previous expansion pack introduced townies. What's unique about this is that the townies in this world actually develop relationships outside of your Sims, and it saves. They'll be going on their own business. This game isn't just about you anymore, babe. Some of the townies that they introduced are archetypes. We've got the Dreamboat, the Blonde Bombshell, the Lounge Lizard, whatever that's supposed to mean, the Femme Fatale, and then we've got Jock. Just Jock. So you can see these will be hanging around downtown. You can try and flirt with them. But relationships are a big aspect of this pack. So before there was only a 1 bar relationship. Now there's a 2 bar relationship system. The top bar is daily and then the bottom bar is long term. And you've got to work really hard at relationships now because your Sims have gained intelligence and also a short term memory span. So prior to this, you could literally just spam the same interaction 30 times and they'd be like, I literally love this. I literally love this. I literally love this. They'd be so receptive to it. And now they're like, babe, you tried that 180 seconds ago. I know what you're up to. You've got to woo me. You've got to try harder. But as well as short-term memory, they've also gained long-term memory because they have interests now. What kind of interests would a pack like Hot Date bring? I hear you ask. Well, we've got the mundane, like weather, but we've also got entertainment things like food, Hollywood, parties, which kind of fits with the vibe of this, music, sports, style, integral things to any modern society as well. So things like politics and also the 60s. I don't know why the 60s is its own separate cat. We don't have the 70s as an interest. We don't have the 50s, just the 60s. Born in a wrong generation era. As well as interests, my personal interest is back. Heart hot tub. The Heartbed gave your Sims the option to what is currently but not previously called Woohoo. And the Heart Hot Tub also lets your Sim Woohoo, previously called Play. This is a play on the whole James Turner formerly known as Sim Supply joke. Sadie S. Supply create the iconic Heartbed. She didn't make this one. Don't know why. Maybe there was beef with the company. There probably was a problem with the post office or something. But she's back once again with another fantastic satisfunctional creation, the Love Seat. While most 2-person sofas may be called love seats, ours really lives up to the name. Pleasing to the eye, pleasing to the body, pleasing to the hypothalamus. What I call satisfunctional. My phone's downstairs, but I was gonna try and find out the definition of hypothalamus. A region of the forebrain below the thalamus which coordinates both the automatic nervous system and the activity of the pituitary, controlling body temperature, thirst, hunger, and other things. Okay. And involved in sleep and emotional activity. I wish I had something pleasing to the hypothalamus. Guys, I'm really wishing I had like maybe just even like a satisfunctional sofa or something. I feel like that could really satisfunctionalify me. You know how to make a date the best date possible, but have you ever considered that this woman's husband literally died and you were kissing in front of her? Have some fucking respect. Are you asking to get hit and stabbed in the eye? You are, actually. She hates to see romance coming. If you see this woman and you're on a date, just run. End the date. Say, I'm sorry. When you go to see a psychic and like, there's something dark coming your way. Choose whichever tarot card is the worst card in The Sims 4 Life and Death. Because I relate everything to Sims things as if tarot cards aren't something that exists outside of The Sims 4 Life and Death. Which they are not. So now onto the lots. On Right Way, which is aptly named after Will Wright. Thank him for your roads and also my career. We've got Headman's Hideaway. Kind of basic. It does what it says on the tin. It's a place to take your date. And if your date goes horribly, you can bet on some slot machines and win all of your money back. For Corey's Place, if you want that ever-present threat of bees or flies or other people looming over your meal, Corey's Place puts the place in place to be. That's not my best work, I admit, but you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, my loves. So speaking of shots, shoot your shot on the swing. I heard if you swing at the same time, it means you fancy each other, and you'll always be swinging at the same time on this swing because it doesn't actually swing. It's just a 2-seater. It's got no choice but to swing at the same time. Obviously, you fancy each other. Empty lot right here. This is for you to build on. It's got lots of space for things like running, jogging, running away. I heard through the grapevine that it's Paul Mescal approved. This is great bad. Moving on over to Main Street, Wednesdays is the absolute place to be. It has everything. You can relax, you can play chess, get drunk, buy flowers, read magazines, buy formal attire, and even have a meal. They've thought of everything. Then we have Solana Town Centre. I'm not too sure what Solana means or if downtown as a place is called Solana. Maybe this part of SimCity is called Solana. Solana, this is its town centre. A lot of this is like a 50s dining experience, although it may be 60s, which is why there might be a 60s category in interests, which is making sense. But in my mind, that's more 50s. That's like, go Grease Lightning, but maybe Grease Lightning is 60s. You know what? In the Sims world, that is 60s. Barrett's Boardwalk, it's a beach. You think that that's water? Get up. Yeah, you can't go in the ocean. It's not swimmable. SimCity Beach as well, same issue. Is it really a beach if no water? At what point does it stop being a sandpit and start being a beach? I would argue the inclusion of water. SimCity Sandpit, Barrett Sandpit doesn't have as good of a ring. Moving on over Did you really think we could go an entire lore video and not have the land grabs mentioned in some way, shape or form? The land grab mall. And you know what? I hate to say it. Hate to say it. It's good. It's where I'd want to hang out. You can dine. You can buy so many different things. I was literally always in that section of the shop as a kid. Like, cuff me and throw away the key. I'd go there again. And you would do it too for a check. You can buy things. You can shop to your heart's content. It's got lovely little benches. Call it what you want. But Malcolm popped off with this one. And I may be incorrect, but I do think that this is the first reference that we have to a land grab in the Sims franchise. We also have the first name of a land grab. Admiral Landgrab in a portrait. Admiral Landgrab is Sim Nation's most tragic naval hero. After a series of dashing exploits in his youth, Landgrab settled into a downward spiral of mercantile ventures, gunboat diplomacy, and inevitable treaty breaking that became synonymous with the Landgrab family to this day. He is pictured here just before his undoing at the hands of disgruntled island natives. Guys, I actually figure that I know what this is referencing. Where I live, Middlesbrough is the birthplace of someone called Captain James Cook. And everything here is named after him. I was actually in Captain James Cook University Hospital last night. Gallstones, thank you. Massive bloating. Gallstones, flatulence, inability to pass wind. Anyway, everything here is named after him. And Captain James Cook was killed in Hawaii. So I didn't expect to find that reference in the game. Yes, I can't believe that the hospital I was born in is the hospital that the land grab name would be based on. I'm unconditionally and irrevocably tied to the land grabs. And then we've also got Old Farm Square. You can buy flowers here. In the Sims house party, you can even dance in a cage here. Or a normal dance floor, you know. Why dance on that when you could be the star of the show in a cage? But even a golden cage is still a cage. And then finally, we have Crumplebottom Memorial Park, 30 Main Street, named after Robert Crumplebottom, who actually, spoiler alert, but I feel like everybody already knows this, is actually Roberto Crinkletop from The Sims 4. But at this point, he is believed to be dead. In The Sims 1, Robert Crinkletop is a famous philanthropist and puppeteer. And I had to Google what a puppeteer meant because I thought with philanthropy, does it mean like puppet, controlling, something to do with philanthropy? Like, does he lobby politically? Has he got his fingers in lots of different buckets? You know what I mean? Anyway, I Googled it and it straight up is literally just he holds puppets. So I don't know how he got married in the first place. Although, you know what? Hobbies are good. I'm just salty. Listen, if you want to hold puppets, I've got nothing against that. It's not your fault that every single puppet I had as a child, I got the strings tied. That's literally not your fault. I'm sorry for making you feel bad for holding puppets. He's supposed to be dead. That's his memorial park. She's still walking around the place going, if I can't have him, nobody can have anybody. He holds puppets. She holds knitting needles. She potentially knitted the puppets. Anyway, he got out. I mean, to be fair, she could have been abusive. She is the one attacking people with knitting needles. I never considered, yeah, that actually, I mean, you just look at her and you just think, oh, little old lady. No, vicious. And she can smack that bag. That is downtown. This is literally where I spent my childhood. You know those pictures where it's Habbo Hotel or Club Penguin? It's like, this is where I spent my childhood. This is where I spent mine, okay? I was in the mood for dancing, romancing, woohooing my Sims tonight. After all the dating, the romancing, the 9 to 5ing, you might just want a little break. And baby girl, that's okay. That's okay. You can have fun. For 500 simoleons, you can have a round trip to Vacation Island. That's right. Every single season, all under one roof. It's called global warming. Before you even pick where you want to stay, meet Vacation Director Kana. Here's the reasons why I think she was hired. She's got that bob. She's also a manager. She came in and dressed for the position she wanted and not for the position she had. And she also has a clipboard. See my previous point. For that reason, I would trust her with my life. And also my kids. Sims versions. Because I don't actually have any in real life, which I'm sure that you already know. If your kids are kicking the mascots, which they can, she will fine you. Okay, this is everybody else's holiday as well, okay? Not just your family's. So you got to keep your kids in tow, okay? No questions asked. She also shoos away the tragic clown. They have a very difficult relationship, so them two, they don't get on. Best not to have them in the same room together, and she can't stand the sight of his face. Neither can your Sims family though, so she's doing you a favour there. Around this area, we've also got Maid Marian and Janet Tanya, whose pictures I do not have on the board, but they do exist. And before we even get onto the lore of the actual town, excuse that, that's a hot water ball, by the way. I just want to introduce you to something that you'll probably already know if you played The Sims 4 Love Struck or The Sims Busting Out. The Sham Shag Polar Bear Rug. Never Never have I ever seen two Sims go at it in such vicious detail as I have had with the Shamshag polar bear rug. Iconic. Thank you to the Sims on holiday for this one. But first off, let's start off in winter. The winter is all situated on Old Volcano Way. I'm guessing just based on context clues, there was an old volcano. No way. There's Alpine's Winter Wonderland. Come on, come all to the world famous Island Summit Resort. You've seen it on the postcards. Now come enjoy it for yourself. I'll say is bringing the kids too. This place has got it all. It sells winter stuff. You can go snowboarding. You can go sledging. It's got hot tubs, a snowball fighting area. It's literally on site. Penguin Acres Campground. Now this, guys, is the place to be. Alpine, you're dead in the water, my love. Penguin Acres is where... Look at the arcades on that. It's even got an outdoor play area. It's got a tree. Santa could come. This is the place to be if you are a kid or also if you're a grown-up. Or also if you're a ghost. Or also any life stage in The Sims 1 or any state of being would benefit from visiting Penguin Acres Campground at least once. It's got archery practice, arcade games, a massive slide. I would be down that. A hot dog cart. Oh, can you imagine having a hot dog if you're just like a little bit cold? Ooh, just warm you right through to your bones. It's even got igloos. You don't even have to leave the lot. What more could you want? And then we have Alpine Preserve, not associated in any way, shape or form with Alpine's Winter Wonderland. Honestly, that's just a silly little mistake. Alpine was around Alpine so long. Legally, you know how it goes in the Sims world. That have to change the name to that, but the two are not associated. Al does not have a monopoly on Old Volcano Way, despite the rumours. Thanks to funding from the Island Open Space Modicum Tax Fund, this little corner of the island has resisted development for the time being. There's not much there. There's an igloo. You can fight your family with snowballs. And there's a toilet. So there's also a pond. You know, got a nice view. And then each section has their own mascots. For the winter section, it's Betty Yeti. And I love her. Now, one thing that you need to know about Betty Yeti is, yes, she might entertain your children. Yes, she might get kicked by your children. She is an actress, okay? She's actually starred in films, you see. She is known for a key role where SimCity's military waste facility has tainted her. She's become a monster. She starts climbing the windmills. It all gets reversed. It all gets sorted in the end. I'm surprised that she managed to bag this role considering she is a Yeti. Now, I'm sure just based on the look of Yeti, Archer and Marky Sharky that they will have you believe that this is actually Sims dressed up in costumes. Similar to how Bornhild works in Sims 4. Do not get it twisted. They don't come off. You know that book in Goosebumps where they wear a mask and then the mask stays on forever? That is actually Tragic Clown. I'm so sorry to you, my love, but that makeup is staying put. I didn't lie. That right there is a Yeti, right? That's a shark. You best hope he doesn't smell blood. That is Robin Hood. This man, he steals from the rich and he does give to the poor. Yeah, I'm also quite shocked that Betty Yeti, I'm surprised that she works as a children's entertainer despite the fact that she has such a well-known role as a monster. Do you know what? As we learned from Maddie Ziegler and Chloe Lucasiak solos in Dance Mom Season 4, you can, beat anything. And then for the forest area and also the beach area are all on the same road. Lagoon Moon Road, so it goes all the way around there. And I guess that's also Lagoon Moon Road, unless you know what? Apparently it's all Lagoon Moon Road. I would be willing to dispute that, okay, if you had a town hall and you had meetings that I could attend at a town hall, but you don't, and you are temporary accommodation. But we've got the Bare Essentials Lodge, which, as it says on the tin, well, actually, the tin's a liar. The Bare Essentials, it's got a bit more than the Bare Essentials. It's got games, it's got lodges, it's got hot tubs, all right? It's got more going for it than Renfens National Park. That's got nothing? Nah, don't stay at Renfens National Park. I don't know who Ren is or what a Fen is, to be honest, but if you're going to stay somewhere and it's not the Bare Essentials Lodge, you got to go Rangers Ranch Campground. Stay where the Rangers are staying, my love. It's got glamping, toilets, a little bench, and archery. That's the place. You might be like, Jessica, the whole point of a national park is for you to stand there and embrace the beauty of a national park. Number one, you can't do that in The Sims 1 because all around you is grey. So I've discredited that point. Number two, it's actually objectively a fact that if your Sims stay here, it is so difficult to keep them happy because there is just not enough there. And I would like to use a word that my 9-year-old nephew has created. Well, he says he's created it, but he also told me that he wrote a rap one time and then he loaded up YouTube shorts and it was the exact same rap that he just performed for me and then he just acted as if that hadn't happened. But I would like to use the word that he uses to describe staying at Renfens National Park. Bordetized. And also this park, who was it established by? Admiral Land Grab. Archie Archer, in between stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, also has a comic book in The Sims 3 called Archie Archer. Well done, my love. And then finally for the beach area, we have the Palazzo Palms Hotel. Why would you want to go all the way to the beach? and go into the ocean. You absolute weirdos. In Palazzo Palms Hotel, you can have chemically treated water that doesn't even have that weird salt taste. And to distract you from the sand in your pants, because this lot is still on a sandy surface, there's even arcade games to play. You'll never even have to leave the lot, especially not to go in the ocean. Sunset Beach is your place where, like, okay, Palazzo Palms Hotel was fully booked. We'll take the next best thing. We'll rough it. We'll rough it at Sunset Beach. We'll even have to go in the ocean. Well, stop. Sunset Beach has solved your issue. They've done the selfless act of having a swimming pool. The pool has even got a waterfront view. You are spoiled. They've even got tents with a hot tub in front of it. So even when you're getting out of your tent, you don't even have to go in the ocean. Every single possibility is covered. And do you want to rinse off? Don't worry about it, babe. You don't have to go in the ocean. There's showers. They've thought of everything. So then you think, oh, Palazzo Palms Hotel is fully booked up. Sunset Beach is fully booked up. The reclaimed public beach, it's got space. And you think, do you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I will rough it. I will go in the water. Absolutely not. Sorry, you actually can't do that because you can't enter the water in these locations. So that is actually a bit of a lie. But you can play arcade games, volleyball and use a grill. So you don't even have to worry about going in the ocean overall. And it's even got a pond. To entertain, we've got Marky Sharky. But like I say, he is not just an entertainer in a shark costume. That's a shark right there. Because he's a shark, he is known for swimming in the pool. And I'm not joking when I say that Marky Sharky can be found having a little dip in all of the pools, just dipping his toes in the water. He gets out sharpish though, because despite the fact he's a shark, he's also hydrophobic. So that is why he works as a children's entertainer and not as a shark, obviously. And that is Vacation Island. Book now to secure your deposit. I think that's what they say on holiday adverts, isn't it? The stunning water of Vacation Island. Book now with Vacation Director Kana and have your children entertained by Betty Yeti, Archie Archer, or Marky Sharky. Don't even think you have to go in the water. But beware, we cannot be held responsible if the dredger clown turns up at your apartment. You might be wondering why I'm all the way down here. My gallbladder is actually decided not to work. Do not worry about it. I am fine. I'm getting all the appropriate medical care. I just can't stand for periods of time. So I'm going to have to sit on this one. And I've tried to elevate it to be as high as I possibly can. But I do think that my wardrobe... Sorry, that was not me. That was my gallbladder. I do think that my whiteboard is too high. This is how Vixella sees the world. So if anything, I'm just trying to be an empathetic friend and see the world through Vixella's eyes. Welcome to Unleashed and welcome to Old Town. You might realise we've changed the map. This was the original map right here and look how big it is now. This is the Old Town, baby. A lot of people from the time, and I am also from that time, I was very much alive and well in the early 2000s, view this as their favourite expansion pack for The Sims 1. And they are entitled to their wrong opinion because Makin Magic was not released yet and nobody can be 100% perfect 100% of the time. The developers said that pets are something that fans have been clamouring for since the release of the original Sims. The Sims Unleashed offers players lots of furry friends, and that it does. That is so cool of them as well. I hope they continue adding pet expansions with multiple animals forever instead of just focusing on like maybe 2, I don't know. Unleashed makes the Sims Neighbourhood, all 6 neighbourhoods for those who have installed earlier expansions, about 3 times bigger. She's really big. But then GameSpot said the core game and its various problems is definitely starting to show its age. But if you've ever enjoyed The Sims at least a little, you'll probably find Unleashed to be a worthwhile add-on. All Game actually encountered lots of glitches with their review as well. It was very much like, yeah, you get a load of new stuff, but also, do you know what you get? Longer load times and more glitches. Babe, I think I've seen this film before. There was also a glitch where dishes get stuck underneath objects and you can't get them out, such as the life of The Sims. This kind of sloppiness is a big step backwards. It's especially disappointing considering designers have literally had years to perfect the flow of the game. Slow down and jerky animations seem more prevalent as each new expansion pack is installed, an understandable symptom of the now massive amount of objects and interactions. Help. I'm still at the restaurant. I'm sensing a theme. One thing about me, I'm seeing a pattern. It's like when you look through history at humans and human problems, and it's like, wow, humanity's had the same problem throughout all of its time. So's The Sims. But with The Sims Unleashed, you get 5 new careers. It also introduces gardening, community lots, and you can visit Old Town, which is this section, by a trolley. You can't walk there though. America is not a walkable place. So I've heard. It offers a new area of suburbia, which is very pretty, actually. I do like this area a lot. That's a lot of houses compared to the original. No wonder it made load times longer. And then also this section right here is Old Town. And in Custer's Market, you can buy and sell veg in Lake Barrett, which is 74 Maple Street. This is more for your grown-ups. You can have that me espresso. I'm working late because I'm a simmer. I was about 9 months too late for that joke, but I'm still going to make it and I'm probably going to keep it in. We also have Pet Paradise around here because The Sims Unleashed. It's in the name, babe. Pets exist and you can actually buy them. The Sims 1 Unleashed really said shop, don't adopt. And you can also use a pet trainer as well to train your pets up because your pets can make money. No pets want to get up and work anymore. You can make an animal compete in a pet show because who doesn't want to live out their dreams of stardom by living vicariously through the pet? I will say I'm never as impressed as when I see a dog manage a trick that I think a human would struggle with. I like it when they jump through hoops. You can also get cats as well. And Unleash is not just limited to cats and dogs, funnily enough. You can also get birds, iguanas, turtles, fish to a company that, as we know, Killer Guinea Rabbit. No, that's Killer Rabbit from Sims 4. The Killer Guinea Pig. Old Town Quarter, it's got pretty much everything. It's got the pets, it's got jazz. That is me if I like jazz, but I don't. It has everything apart from a food bowl. So be careful where you take your dogs. They hate pets. Confirmed. You can bring dogs, like they do allow dogs, but it just do not feed them there. That is not allowed. The Gothic Quarter, guys, take note. The Gothic Quarter. My God, I've not put where the Goths live. Well, do you know what, babe? They live in this house. Use context clues. The Goths will always be famous. We've had the Land Grab Mall. Now it's time for the Gothic Quarter. It even has a palm reader, Miss Lucille. She's actually got repercussions too, because you go to her and you ask her about her future and she can give advice, but the advice can range from like, oh my God, babe, literally go out and buy a hot tub right now. Do not wait, go right now. Or she can add a little boost to your motives, fill them entirely. And this also affects your animals as well. Miss Lucille, like, she is Dr. Dolittle because she can communicate with your animals beautifully. Something bad is not happening in Oz. With great power comes great responsibility, so not everything can always be good. She can also make your pet stink, which isn't very kind of her. But she's not called Miss Kind, she's called Miss Lucille. The Gothic Quarter also, interestingly, has graves in it. Naturally, because it's to do with the Goths. One thing about the Goths, they love a corpse, so that has got graves in it. But it is neither confirmed nor denied if Miss Lucille had anything to do with the graves. It's called the Old Town, so I think that the suburban area is supposed to be set in the countryside, and then this is the built-up area. First up is Kat, Junior Kat. This is her. She's an old woman. She's in the education career as a substitute teacher. She enjoys writing children's books and lives with the 4 cats at Waggles, Boots, Scout, and Maggie. She does have a child, but she is already grown up at this point. She lives a good life. She's got a little headscarf on, an apron. The house is a really cute cottage. It's got everything that she needs. It's even got an upstairs, which you can't see. Living life with the 4 cats in a cottage. Babe, that sign me up. I want to become her. She's also really neat and nice and also quite shy, which checks out because she's literally living with 4 cats and they're the only relationships that she has. That's not a crime. I have 2 cats. I'm halfway there. You better watch out. One thing that I love about Junior is that she's really got no interests other than food, parties, and Hollywood. She does not care about the 60s at all, which is really, really shocking because the 60s, as we know, is such a strong theme throughout The Sims 1. I can't believe she's not interested in the 60s. I actually haven't come across a Sim that's interested in the 60s yet, but you never know. She lives across the road from the park. She's got neighbours, not that she ever talks to them. She's set. She's doing well. Opposite her, we have a massive house. This is called the Port Rouge Villa. It's going for 30 grand, which in this economy sounds too good to be true. I am betting that something sinister happened there. Nightmare on Ingleside Drive is what I'm feeling. Got another cottage as well. Honestly, Old Town absolutely loves a cottage. Cottage right there. That is not a cottage. 57 Ingleside Drive is the Somerset house. Apparently a starter home for a family that has big dreams but a small budget. Nothing about that fence or the fountain in front of the house screams big dreams, small budget. That screams big budget, big dreams. Whoever buys this house may not be the most financially responsible, but that's not for me to judge. And this actually bothered me so much that I actually went into the house and thought, well, how much would it be if I removed the fountain and also the fencing? Turns out that the fencing was 1 simoleon each. So they got a pretty good deal with that. And the fountain wasn't that much either. The house was 13,347. I took the fountain out, as I said. I took the fencing out, as I said. It went down by 20 simoleons. Whoever built this house knows their way around a coin. And you know what you can learn from this lesson? If you want to be financially responsible, put a fountain in front of your house. 69 First Avenue is home to the Charming family. I literally don't know why there is not a picture. I did not have a picture for the Charming family, and I don't know why, because I've got a picture for literally every single house that I just haven't put up. But the Charming family, were you silent or silenced? I'm so sorry to the Charming family, but Claire lives here and she is really charming. She is. Claire, I'm sorry, my love. She lives by herself and a dog, Luna, and she's in the paramedic career. She's not doing too well at it though, because she's got no skills at all. So I would not trust her in an emergency situation. And who approved her to perform CPR? Question. Her dog? Despite the fact that she's not medically trained, she's actually classed as performing excellently in a job, which a lot of other Sims aren't, so she must be doing something right. But also that makes me really not trust the medical care that the SimCity provides. She's really neat and outgoing, which is quite a juxtaposition to her relationships because she has none. I actually think that she'd make great friends with Junior. Unfortunately, I've robbed Junior of that choice because I didn't print a picture out of Claire. Sad news today, though, to report that Claire also does not care about the 60s. Like, what is happening to the youth of today? Claire's also really interested in style, so honestly, I don't think she fits in here that much. I mean, she's a paramedic. She could fit in here. Do you know what, Claire? I don't know you. I'm not going to judge your life choices. But also, if Claire said, I'm moving to Studio Town, which is the next pack that we'll cover, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I could see that. You were at being a paramedic anyway, weren't trained, didn't have the license. She'd make loads of money at Studio Town. She'd be rich and famous, and then she'd have an interview and she's like, I'm moving back to Old Town. You can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. And she's in love with a man back home, and he sees me for who I am and not for who the camera portrays. We move on to Gunther Goth Highway. Shocking horror to report. Breaking news. The world does not revolve around Bella Goth. I'm shocked and upset and honestly quite appalled to hear this. This world actually revolves around Gunther Goth. Gunther Goth was actually the founder of Old Town, and he loves it so much he said, I'm literally moving into Old Town. And also, I think I might name things after me. Guys, would it be crazy if I could name this road after me right now? I actually think he was like, you know what? I don't trust that Mortimer. I think we should probably move home so he doesn't kill his wife. And he done the next best thing and had her abducted. Fun historical fact. You might see roads that are named after people, and usually it's because the family who owned land, the landlords, I guess, but in that time, like the landed gentry who owned the land, they would sell off bits of their land because all of their money is, well, not all, I don't want to make a judgment, but a lot of their money is tied up in liquid assets because it's literally in the estate, it's in the land. So they would sell off bits of land, and then in Middlesbrough, for example, the land that they sold off is named after the family. So you've got like Pennyman Primary School, Beaumont Avenue. So that's just a fun fact. Well, I guess it is a bit narcissistic that he's got an entire road named after him, but I'm also not surprised because it fits, you know? Like historically, yeah, that checks out. So starting off, Gunther Goth Highway, we've got the Burb family. They already have a bountiful garden. Look at the amount of trees. I don't even think that there's enough room for them roots. How do those trees grow? Question mark. It's actually quite a nice size house for The Sims 1. And also just a nice size house in general. But who would Johnny? His bedroom is literally smaller than the toilet. No wonder he ups and leaves to Pleasantview in the future, because I wouldn't stay in that house either. Put me in a bloody cupboard. If you watch my Sims 2 video on the Sims 25 live stream, I talk about the Burb family there. And that is, in fact, Johnny from the Burb. He's just Johnny from the Burbs. Used to be in the Sims 1, now it's in 2. Boo. But he lives with his parents, Brad, Tiffany, and their dog, Tucker, the little Brad is doing nothing. He's lazy at the moment, but he's got skills in the mechanical department, which makes me think that he actually tends the land, and that's just not a registered job in The Sims 1. And also when it comes to tax purposes, he's cash is king. Cash empire. He's also really active, which further cements this theory for me. I'm willing to submit this hypothesis. He's interested in exercise, food, parties, and style. So he sounds like a fun fella. Tiffany is into the same things, but she's a bit less interested in style, which I think is really ironic and not fitting at all, because she has got the Brie Vanderkamp look about her. I can't run you over. I'm going to Pilates. She knows her way around a two-piece suit. She's really neat too and quite serious, which is making the Brie Vanderkamp allegations harder to ignore for me personally. And she's also bringing the money in for the family. She's a department store clerk. That is so Gabby Solis of her. And just performing average at it, which honestly, absolute pure respect to that. Do the bare minimum, go home. Tiffany, living the dream. And then for Johnny, he's above average. He's a B+ in school, which you could improve, Johnny, my love. But he's quite like his father. Very active, nice and outgoing. And he's not interested in anything. I guess he doesn't have the space to be interested in anything. Especially not the 60s. He does have a turtle cage in his bedroom though, but doesn't have a turtle in it. The turtle probably saw the house as he was being dragged into Johnny's room, saw the size of Johnny's room in comparison to the house, mistook the wallpaper for hot air balloons and thought, nah, get that fire exit door, I'm off. And that's why Johnny only has a dog now. Or the dog ate it. Tucker does have 2 skills in performance, so you could have gave it the performance of a life and all that. In terms of Brad and Tiffany's relationship, though, it's a little bit trouble in paradise. They're both high scores with both bars, but he's like, I love you, babe, but honestly, I don't really like you. You're a good friend. Shit wife. He's only in the 50s with relationship with her, but she is in love with that man. Tiffany does have a better relationship with Johnny, though, and Johnny is also friends with his mum in turn. And Johnny is also friends with the dog. And who's Johnny not friends with? That bastard right there. Don't trust this man. Brie Vanderkamp deserves better. Be more like Orson, but not in the late seasons. Guys, I don't know if it's obvious. I've recently watched Desperate Housewives from start to finish. Cross the bridge to the other side of Gunther Goth Highway, we've got the Hick family. Mama Hick was actually Miss Sim City, but she lost her savings to a psychic phone friend who I personally think is Miss Lucille, who operates in this area. Now she washes dishes and always has rollers in her hair. And personally, I think that's quite iconic. She's very playful and nice and quite shy. And considering she was Miss Sim City and had it all stripped away, I think she's doing quite well. But also, can't blame the lass for being shy. I think I'd probably be a bit reluctant to socialise again if my friend, who also happened to be a psychic, recommended her phone services to me and then ended up stealing my money. It would ruin my trust a bit, you know. She's also not interested in the 60s, and I don't know if she was prior to the whole Miss Sim City thing, prior to the whole phone scandal, but it's a crying shame, honestly. She lives with a son, Eldon, which is this guy right here, and 3 dogs, Bobo, Duke, and Leroy. Eldon, according to the game, is unemployed, but if you look at him, he's wearing overalls, and that's a name tag right there. So I'm going to say that he actually is employed, just not in the traditional sense of the word. He's playful, active, and fairly nice, but not very neat. And the house kind of reflects this. It's got an oven outside and a pinball machine, but I'm really not willing to pass judgment on that, because are you going to look me in the eye right now as I record this with my gallbladder pain and tell me that you've never had an appliance or entertainment system placed outside in your Sims house? You're really going to do that right now? I'm very sympathetic towards Eldon because, number 1, I think I fancy him. Number 2, I like his name a lot. Number 3, he has a box bedroom with a hospital bed. Mama's room isn't much bigger. It's not a Brandy Broke situation. They have a really nice size yard, honestly. It's a good house. I don't know if this is something that was just overlooked. I'm going to say it was a detail. Half of the bathroom wallpaper isn't painted, and I think that's supposed to reflect like the wallpaper has fallen off and they don't have the money to replace it. I don't think it was just an oversight. I love the Hick family. Gunther Goth does not live on Gunther Goth Highway. Okay. Too good for your own road. They live at 77 Maple Street in this absolutely massive house. And this is the original Goth family. These are the ones that you play in The Sims 3. That is Agnes Crumplebottom's sister. The Goth senior family, right, has a net worth of 137 grand. Mortimer has a net worth of 35 grand. Adding fuel to the fire that he killed his parents in the literal fire. Sorry, pun not intended, but I'm going with it. Take it. Killed his parents in the... Excuse me, just slot you back on there. Thank you, my love. He killed his parents, also killed his daughter. She was like, babe, I can't do this. Like, literally, I just want to... What's she into? Isn't she into tennis or something? I just want to play tennis. I just want to be Zendaya. She kind of has a Zendaya vibe, actually. Smash. And then he's like, nah. Number 1, get f***ed. Number 2, get abducted. Yeah. Gunther Goth himself looks like a nice funeral director, but actually he's a college dean, which is quite random. The education career did ship with this pack, so it makes sense. But actually, no, to be fair, I could see Gunther Goth making an absolute fortune off student loans. I could see that, yeah. Maybe it isn't so much of a shock. He's got really high logic and creativity skills as well, and even a fair bit of charisma. And he's fully neat and very nice. I think I like Gunther Goth, guys, apart from the whole Dean thing. Maybe he has a university where there's no tuition fees. I mean, this is a dream world. However, red flag, no interest in the 60s. The suspect, Cornelia, also displays no interest in the 60s. When will somebody please think of the 60s? She's also employed and has no skills, and she's nearly on death's door anyway. She's an OAP now. She looks a bit austere, but she's really nice. And she's fairly outgoing as well. I actually really like her. These two also have a really high relationship bar. They love each other. And do you know who else they love? Their cats. Me too. The cats are called Hecuba and Menelaus. I'm not very good at Greek pronunciation, so literally don't come at me. One of the cats, Hecuba, her namesake was actually a queen in Greek mythology. I did look it up a bit. I'm not very good at Greek mythology, so just bear with me. Hecuba is supposed to be a symbol of endurance and strength in the face of adversity. But I've also read that she symbolizes gender equality and also that she symbolizes love for family. But people can be multifaceted, you know, and so can that cat. Menelaus was a Greek king. So it's like king and queen. And they're kind of interlinked because Hecuba attacks Helen for being unfaithful to Menelaus and leaving for Troy with Paris. Hecuba is also the mother of Paris. Oh, it's all gone bloody Pete Tong. Hecuba accuses Helen of being an actively unfaithful wife who left Menelaus of her own free will. So the two are kind of like, dare I say, Edward and Bella. I've got no evidence for this fact, but those cats are kind of giving Edward and Bella. Yeah, the drama. Honestly, who would have thought that the goth cats brought more drama than the goths? Also, would it be a goth household if it didn't have a graveyard? But we don't know who resides in those graveyards. And then finally, this house right here is called 80 Crumplebottom Court. Now, if you remember from Hot Date, Miss Crumplebottom was introduced, and also Robert Crumplebottom, her husband, who was killed. Rest in peace. Or was he? So that is Old Town. It kind of gives the country vibe. It's got careers in fashion, which is interesting. I wouldn't have pinned that for this pack. Education, I can kind of see it. Animal care, that's an obvious one. Culinary, and then also randomly, the circus. You know what? Hell yeah. Remember in Old Town when it was like, your pets can literally be famous? Well, the Sims seem like, well, never mind the pets. What about you, babe? Well, come on down to Studio Town. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Come on, come all. Studio Town is a separate entity, like downtown. It operates the same. And how do you travel there? Well, I'll tell you how. Massive traffic jam. Set off early. That is, I have been to LA and I was shocked by the traffic. The traffic is bad here too, but the traffic in LA is like a given thing from the 2 times that I experienced it. So I'm making a sweeping generalization there, but it feels right. But guys, I don't know if you know, I've actually been to LA. But one thing that shocked me was my perception of LA was essentially the Sims superstar. This is Hollywood to me. So when I got to Hollywood and it wasn't exactly like this, I was a bit perplexed, yeah, I'll be honest. But I also didn't go on any studio tours or anything. So the studios might look like that. Either way, my entire understanding of Hollywood has been based on this one Sims expansion pack. And it remains to be that day, despite the sheer amount of information I've learned. And the most important piece of Hollywood media ever to be created, that Paul Mescal, Phoebe Bridgers and Daisy Edgar Jones picture, that lives in my consciousness. But when I see the background of that image, I don't see the Met Gala. I see Studio Town. They say that Hollywood is a drug, and once you've had it, you will do anything to stay in it. And that's where I think the Sims Superstar really does portray that aspect quite well. Because once you go to Studio Town and start making waves, you have to consistently keep going to Studio Town, or your manager will drop you. Your friends also stop being your friends because you're not as relatable to them and you have different interests. So then you have to find new friends, but you can only stay friends with those friends if your star level stays the same or rises. So you got to keep on top of that star ladder, babe. Never mind the ladder to the skies, it's the ladder to Studio Town. Remember Kana from Vacation? Meet Lana. She does the exact same thing. She's a real friendly face to have in the bitter waters of Studio Town. And in The Sims Superstar, the point is you can either be a rock star, a model, or an actress. If you want to be a rock star, meet Holly Hoover and Tina Treble. There's also Robert Aria and Peter Zondro as well, but I couldn't find pictures of them. But some are producers, some are directors. You gotta guess which. So sticking on with the rock star theme, bottom left of the map, we've got 89 Studio Town Drive, Cameron's Lounge, where Hep Cats, what does that mean? Because I'm reading cats with hepatitis. And Cool Canaries know the joint is jumping at Cameron's Lounge. This is basically, it's got pool tables, it's got slot machines. I loved a bit of gambling in The Sims 1. 87 Studio Drive is Music for the Eyes Incorporated, and nearly all of Studio Town's music videos are produced within these hallowed halls. It's not so much that Music for the Eyes is the only game in town, but that they are the best at what they do, making you look good regardless of how you sound. So once you've worked your skill up at Cameron's Lounge, you can head over to Music for the Eyes Incorporated, where you can have your ego savagely beaten down by Holly Hoover and Tina Treble. And what an honour that would be, ladies. Yes, it would. She's done f*** all today. This place, honestly, it's got a pool right next to some electricity. Living life on the edge, you know. Life is short. I think that this company is actually like the Rebecca Black Friday of Sims World. Don't let that put you off him, because Rebecca Black is thriving at the minute, despite literally everybody on the internet bullying her. Music for the Eyes may yet produce a banger. And then you've got 84 Studio Drive, which is Midlock Multiplex. These are the outstanding musicians, the Olivia Rodrigos, the Chapel Rowans, the Taylor Swift. They are the talk of the town, the best in sound production. And then we move on to the acting bit, right? 81 Sunrise Boulevard is KWLW Studios. This is your 90210 As the World Turns style studio. It produces the daytime drama As the Heart Beats. And a lot of superstars got their start at KWLW Studios, which checks out, because I've literally seen so many actresses and actors in Midsummer Murders. Henry Cavill, for one. And the lot itself is made up like a hospital room, so I'm guessing a lot of drama happens there. It's like Amnesia, and that's the only one I can think of at the minute. Do I have amnesia? And then 83 Sunrise Boulevard is a new production company that's just getting started. And I fear that they could have actually included indoor toilets if they wanted to make a good look, because they do not have anything of the sort. The only toilets are actually outdoor. But what do I know? Avril Lavigne would love working here, and that will make sense soon. As for the sets, one of them is like a medieval castle, and the other is some sort of zero gravity type Sandra Bullock in space contraption. And then finally, 82 Sunrise Boulevard is old Hollywood. She's a behemoth. She is Fairchild Film Studios, the MGM of Sim Nation. It's got a red carpet before you even enter the building. Indoor plumbing, may I add. An entire spa for the actors, once again, a medieval studio, and also a hospital studio. And the spa's actually good because it puts everybody in a good mood, so it makes it easy for your Sims to, you know, climb that social ladder. And it's also got its own built-in cinema, so you can watch the stuff that you've created. And then for the modelling section, which I have a lot of celebrities on here, but for the modelling, we've only really got Andy Warhol, and he's not even really a model, he's an artist. But we've got 86 Studio Town Drive, which is Buckingham Galleries, a place for fine art and fashion, pillaged from the far corners of SimCity and housed on site at Mr. Buckingham's private design studio. Who is Mr. Buckingham? Who was that man supposed to be? I don't know him. Is he royalty? Is he Sim royalty? Because I currently have a list of Sim royalty that I'm working up, and his name has not come up. Although I will admit I have not finished researching it. Anyway, anyone can be an artist, says Buckingham. I'm living proof. Okay. Literally just admitted you're a Nepo baby. You have Queen Victoria's blood running through your veins. You can do better than that. There's not actually that much to do here apart from walk the runway and have a photo shoot, but there is also a PC you can use, you know, if you want to play Sims Forever or something. And then for the last lot in Studio Town, we have 89 Studio Town Drive. This is the Gast district. How about a little taste of Europe without having to go any further than Studio Town? Chic shopping, round-the-clock fashion shows, and a spa that never closes. Ciao! This place has luxury dressing booths, a capture clothes rack, a spa, an aquatic playhouse that you can literally dunk yourself into for some reason, and runways for all of your modelling stuff. Actually, that is so America's Next Top Model. I'm sure I've seen it where they dunk them in the pool and they're like, oh. I've seen that. Yeah, I actually seen that. Yeah. It was filmed right here. As for NPCs, this is the fun part for me. We've got Andy Warhol. He does photo shoots. Freddie Prinze Jr. Sarah McLachlan. I think that's her name. In the arms of the angels. I could be having a Drew Carey Christmas Miracle situation right here, but I'm pretty sure that's her. Christina Aguilera, John Bon Jovi, and Richie Sambora. Those are the celebrities. But we are missing a few. Marilyn Monroe is all of the above. Like, she is a singer. Happy birthday, Mr. President. You know, she acts. I've seen her in the films. And she's a model. Probably one of the most famous ones. So she is all of the above. And then the next one, it was difficult to place because she's actually not real. And that is Elle Woods. For some reason, if you bought The Sims Superstar through Amazon, which I didn't even know was kicking at this time, then you could get an Elle Woods sim downloadable to hang around Studio Town, which made it difficult, like I said, to place her because she is maybe an actress, but she's not an actress. That's Reese Witherspoon. Do you know she got attacked recently? Yeah? Yeah, Reese, what's her name? With a spoon. No, with a knife. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So she's a secret other thing, but she deserves to be there. And then finally, Avril Lavigne. Now, canonically, in The Sims, Avril Lavigne never needs a toilet. And you cannot get to know her because she's literally too famous for you. Once you get to a certain fame level, they just remove your urethra. They're like, I'll have that, thank you. You don't need that anymore. That's why they were like, do we even put toilets in the place, you know? In reality, though, Avril's team were like, maybe it's not a good idea if you can do certain things to Avril Sim that you can do to other people. Which you might be thinking, literally just a game, get a grip. But I've also, to be fair, I have seen people do horrific things to the Ariana Grande skin in Fortnite. So, to be fair to them. But I think you should let the girl wee. You shouldn't stand in the way of me and Avril Lavigne getting to know each other and maybe holding our hands together and maybe kissing them as well. And maybe I give her a little peck on the cheek and then maybe she comes home with me and becomes my wife and we fall in love. You stopped that. Holding in your wee isn't good for anyone to do, by the way. So yeah, they had a couple of hiccups with the Avril Lavigne thing, but do you know what? I'm glad that Avril Lavigne's in The Sims, not because I think she had to sparkle in quality to the game or anything, or that she doesn't. Honestly, I'm quite ambivalent on Avril Lavigne, even though I did just ask her to be my wife. I'm so thankful for Avril Lavigne because she brought this to me. Not personally. If I can't be Avril Lavigne in The Sims 1, then I'll have to make her myself. And I've thought about this image every night. I have my eyes closed about to go to sleep and I think of it and I go, So I just wanted to share that with the world. Remember, guys, if you can't be Avril Lavigne in The Sims 1, make her yourself. I just love the smile. I just love that. It's like, Love it. And then finally, we have the best pack in the world ever, objectively. This is a true fact. We've got Making Magic. And with Making Magic, we've got Magic Town. This was the last expansion pack for The Sims 1. And like I said, it's objectively and unarguably the best ever expansion pack that's ever released by any game in the world ever. You do not know how important this pack is to me. She's perfect. No notes. The tagline for this one is, beware, your Sims have magic. You are preaching to the choir here, babe. In The Sims Making Magic, your Sims can now harness the supernatural, casting spells with playful or mischievous intentions. With a new magical carnival-themed location, over 175 new items, and a host of quirky new characters, Making Magic is the largest Sims expansion pack ever. New gameplay includes making, gathering, and questing for ingredients to brew magic spell recipes. Get help around the house from magic minions, turn pesky neighbours into toads, or make that hard-to-get sim fall in love with you. Don't do that. Nothing good comes from falling in love from a love potion. But watch out, spells can backfire if you're not careful. Either way, the neighbourhood will never be the same. As we've seen from the previous couple of expansion packs, people were like, another one? I'm getting a little bit tired. But Elizabeth McAdams wrote for Computer Gaming World, despite my initial reservation, Making Magic renewed my love for the franchise and reminded me just how fun The Sims is all over again. It should cast a similar spell over you. That it did, Elizabeth, babe. That it did. We've seen how to get to other places. You can get a taxi to Studio Town. You can get the tram to Old Town. Well, with Magic Town, actually, it's a little bit more convoluted and also a little bit more simple at the same time. This man, who remains a mystery, that's the joke, 'cause his name's Mystery Man. He comes around your house and he's like, I've got this box for you. You open the box, a hole in the ground pops up. You're like, wow. There's an arrow in it and you're just supposed to trust it. I don't understand the logistics of it, but obviously it is making magic, so maybe there's some form of enchantment. If you don't trust jumping into a gaping black hole, and that would also be fair, you can also travel by blimp. And you can see the blimp going over the town. It's right there. But the hole in the ground, as well as being a gaping black hole, also has a poem. Who knows where this whole thing goes? This is no simple hole dug with gardening hose. What did you just call me? Around and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. We do actually know where she stops, because she stops at Magic Town. Because this is a spot fit for magical tours, or for those who can't pay the cart due to Simoleon's wars. But keep in mind how the Magicoin's slogan goes, every hole is deeper than its polyphonic prose. I mean, it's no Shakespeare, but it's there. And the story about this town is a magic town. And outside of it, magic is illegal. It's frowned upon. If you cast magic outside of this town, Mystery Man over here, he will come over. And there's a bit of mystery to the town as well, because magic is illegal, so you'd think all the magic people congregate there. But the show folk doing the carnival have only been there a week. And also there's this weird thing about cows disappearing. So let's have a little look at the lots. This area is Creepy Hollow. This mansion hosted many gala events for the most elusive members of Magic Town society. But rest assured, all have been sent back to from whence they came. Yeah, they are a bit too elusive, because where are they? Where did you find her? Where are they now? It says they got sent back from where they came, but like, where was that place? Where did they come from, though? We've also got Old Man Lums, which Old Man Lum is another character who was referenced again. And this ancient cabin has remained vacant for generations. Its first and only inhabitant, Old Man Lum, was driven insane by his experiments with enchantments and was last seen wandering the streets of Old Town. Which of you bastards is Old Man Lum? I'm going to say that one. Muttering something about flamingos. That is right. He did in fact do that. And he hasn't lost his mind. He's referencing the Flamingo Go dancer, which he created. It must have been well, obviously it was an enchantment because he's literally magical, but he created the Flamingo Go dancer. And she's really pretty. We've got Vernon's Vault. Vernon is the pallbearer, and he came to the swampy side of Calamity Forest when it was nothing more than graveyards. But was it before the graveyards? Like, whose graves are they? And who is Vernon? And where is he now? I'm sure that the people of Magic Town still need a pallbearer, but apparently he filled in the especially mucky sections, and up from the earth rose what we describe as a vault full of reanimated fun. Also, I've changed the lights blue because Making Magic is blue, and I also have a hot water ball, if you're wondering there. As for the carnival itself, everything is clown and autumn themed, which I don't necessarily have a phobia of clowns, but they do make me a little bit uncomfortable, which is ironic because I've got clown pajama bottoms on underneath this, but they're cute clowns. And do you know what? I f with these clowns. I really do. I really do. So these have only been here a week apparently, and everything is produced by Magico, which is a business. You buy houses with Magicoins as well. So it seems like Magico, they've really got their hands in multiple pots. And all of the rides and everything are produced by Magicore. Magicore also produces the activities. So there's a tombstone puzzle. Here lies a story of Walter, his 3 boys, his lovely wife Betty, her 3 daughters, and the family nanny. The family disappeared whilst visiting Walter at the Enigma Puzzle Factory, where he worked, and were never heard from again. Enigma's parent company, Magicore Incorporated, erected this magical memorial as a tribute to the years of hard work Walter spent as a control group for cognitive reasoning tests on laboratory mice. So we like back up before Bella Goth, there was a bigger, well, that's not necessarily abduction, disappearance. And what, instead of like maybe, you know, a search party, ringing the police, I know that's a wild one, but you could ring the police if somebody goes missing. I wouldn't necessarily build a tombstone though, because that's not really reflecting great on Magicore, especially with the cognitive thing. It's kind of giving they've stolen their, maybe they're the clowns. Also, there's an object called the extra rickety ride sign, and it reads, "You must be this tall to ride this ride. Gnomes need not bother." And then there seems to be etchings of some ancient language written hastily, but they trail off down to the right into a straight line that streaks all the way off to the bottom of the sign. It appears as though they got tired and fell asleep while writing. What happened here? Who got tired while writing? Is it the previous family? Is it a riddle? Are these all riddles? And Magicore has a lot to answer for as well, because the Haunted Gatehouse ride was originally deemed insane by the SimCity Planning Commission. But since the incorporation of the Magicore dual rear minecart riding system, incidents of death and dismemberment have decreased by 60%. That is not a good enough statistic to let children ride a roller coaster. And a bit on the nose, they also have a ride called The Mind of a Serial Killer Coaster. Cereal as in like breakfast cereal though. And also the Awfully Fun House Coaster, and both of them say, "Please be advised that all clowns are considered armed and dangerous." Magicore, what is in that water, my love? Something is happening. Also, this pack introduced dragons. There are 3 different types of dragons that you can get. One's pyrite. If you interact with it more than 6 times, but less than 14, it'll breathe fire, but it'll usually be unsuccessful, so it won't set fire to your house. Bernie is a nasty dragon, and he will set fire to your house, and it's advised to let him go, which is really sad. Maybe Bernie is behind the whole Magicore conspiracy thing. Torch, interact with him more than 14 times. Basically, if you're a good mum, if you're a good dragon parent. Honestly, he's very chilled. He's just relaxing, eating, having a great time. Vicky Vampiris is one of my favourites. Also Fairy Mara. This guy charms snakes. Gardening gnomes actually do your gardening for you. And last but not least, I just want to have a little private time with her. She's beautiful. I don't know where she comes from. She resides in a coffin. It's upright. And she's ready to clean. She's a lean, mean cleaning machine. And she's very lean, actually. A bit too lean. Gotta get some muscle on those bones, my love. So that's the state of affairs. Magic is illegal. Magicore clearly having a monopoly. Maybe Magicore made magic illegal. So they could be like, oh no, if you want to engage with Magicore or magic in general, you'll have to come say me and spend money on my things. A monopoly, if you will. That actually sounds plausible. Magic is currently illegal. At some point, it becomes unillegal in the franchise. And it wasn't illegal prior to that. And we know that because there is the diametric dueling device. Here stands a hearkening back to the days when magic was for the masses, when disputes were settled honourably, and where years of training came together in the forms of magical duel. As in, a one duel, not the variety. There's also a celebrity, Mr. Bones. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's fantastic. He's once hailed as the spirit of Magic Town, so he's been there a while. He's probably in that bloody graveyard. God bless his soul. God rest his soul. God bless your heart. His love for drink and debauchery remains legendary. To this day, scientists and alchemists alike are trying to figure out how a walking skeleton held his drink. Fun fact about Bornhilda, if she drinks in The Sims 3, straight through her, puddle on the floor, and then she has to clean it up. Isn't that just the straw that broke the camel's back? Mr. Bones also had his Broadway debut. He had his little Charlie D'Amelio moment, and he dances the Skinless Shuffle to promote his intensely popular musical review, Not Without My Tibia. Love that for you. That's cute. Finally, the last link that I found, Bat's Wallpaper by Magicore, none other, is a favourite of Madame Blabatfree. She's the crystal ball woman from Livin Large. There is a link. So she might have been one of the original people in Magic Town. So that is the entire lore of The Sims 1 explained. It's been a wild journey. This was literally my childhood. This game meant more to me than anything in the world, apart from my parents and family. Obviously, if you're watching this, I love you so much. But this really was where it all, well, I'm like, this is where it all started, as if it's a metaphor, but like, no, like, this is where it first started because it's the first game. Before I started recording this video, number one, I had no idea that I would develop gallstones. That was a shock. Making magic, making gallstones. And number two, I had no idea. Sorry, I don't mean to be swearing at you in British. Number two, I had no idea that they will be re-releasing The Sims 1 and 2. You can use my code Plumbella if you would like to support me. But perfect timing. Especially because I'm also planning to do a Sims 2 video explained. I will be on the Sims' channel. They're doing a 25-hour live stream and I'm doing a video on there. It's unique content. It's not something that's on my channel already. So make sure you check that out. And then I will also be doing the Sims 2 lore explained, the Sims 3 lore explained, the Sims 4 lore explained, etc. etc. So please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you all had a very fantastic holiday period. And I love you all and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.